Hello everyone and welcome to round number 2 of the 2022 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. We're still at the Fountain Hills Disc Golf Course and I'm again joined by none other than Nate Perkins. Nate, you gotta love the action we saw in first round, but now can they repeat it? Can we come back for a second round?
Yeah, conditions are pretty different here during round 2. We had a desert storm roll in. Winds got upwards of 30-mile-per-hour gusts. Temperature dropped into the high 60s. There was a little bit of rain, some lightning.
We see a light breeze here for our leader, Paul McBeth, opened with that 16 under. That doesn't make this hole any less nerve-wracking.
No, it sure doesn't. Paul kind of playing it conservative. And Anthony Barela, no stranger to the fountain. He considers this one of his home courses.
I'd consider that a park job. Nice work by AB to get started. And look at those overcast skies that you speak of. Very different. Little tailwind.
And Adam Hemis is also very familiar with these courses. He has been spending his off-season here training with Anthony Barela, one of his close friends. So no surprises to see them on this lead card, but really cool at the same time.
If it's an Arizona tournament, you're going to probably find one or both of them on a lead card. And Chandler Fry, excited. I haven't had him on the channel much. I also don't cover as much golf as some other channels, and that looks
No.
deep. Oh, and he gets the red flag. A little too much power.
It's so hard to go OB left like that. Yeah, you can hear that wind just ripping off the lake. He's got a strong left to right here.
Wow, and online, but a little bit short. And this is layup territory, isn't it? Or does Chandler have other ideas?
Straight headwind for Paul. He looks like he's thinking about it.
I feel like there's just only so much risk you want to take, of course, here on the first hole. If you don't park it like AB, and even that, you saw the wind kind of do a little dancing in the chains there.
It's definitely that kind of day, Terry, where even the closest of putts, you have to make sure that they enter the chains the correct way or it might get blown back at you.
Little scoring separation. We got a birdie, 2 pars, and a bogey. We head over to the first of 2 par 4s. AB with the honors.
Big left to right here. You got to take into account that OB on the right. And AB's destroyer sits down just in the nick of time. All right, Paul going force here.
And do you feel with that left to right wind that's coming off the pond, do you feel like that's, as it sits, does that make the forehand that much more appealing today than even in a calmer day?
Yes and no. So it's good, but if you get the wing too exposed, you can find that OB right, and if you throw too much ante, that left to right will actually get on top of the disc and hold it down. So it can help, but you have to make sure you swing it wide enough.
Using the palm tree as your landmark.
And look at that, Terry. The wind just won't let that force skip anywhere near the circle.
Hanging out plenty wide to the right. If you're going to make a mistake out there, of course, is the place to be as opposed to cutting it off early and finding the OB lake. Man, I think about how much power and how easily they can reach these greens, and yet you see AB putting a good move on it and still not getting it there. That wind is really fighting it.
And that left to right just taking Adam's disc. Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, and that checks up, and it's going to stay safe. But, wow, I've never seen that kind of ground play here on 2.
I haven't either. This wind is serious, and this shot is really well executed. I mean, he's facing 25-plus mile-per-hour headwind right there.
And a little bit much for Chandler. That stays inbounds, and McBeth, of course, not messing with it either, noticing that no one else on the card is likely going to be picking up a birdie. Well, AB might have another idea, though.
Knocks the number plate off.
Chandler, known clearly as one of the best putters in the world. We've seen him go deep into the Disc Golf Pro Tour putting championships and just an all-around solid putter. So I'm excited to see how he specifically tackles the wind.
And this is just a ridiculous wind to attempt to putt in. It's just ripping headwind right to left, and he puts it on the pole. I mean, he couldn't have hit that any more clean, just dead flat.
Wow, and just to see the pauses and the hesitations on such short putts, taking their time, maybe waiting for a little break in the wind sometimes. Clearly, that's going to be a factor throughout the round. So excited to move over to hole number 3. This is a shorty.
Yeah, it's a shorty. 294. We've got OB right, long, and left. And we're going to have a ripping right to left wind. You might see players disc up here. Normally playing is one of the easier holes on the course, but with today's wind, is honestly playing as one of the more difficult birdies. AB puts it up in the wind, needs it to check.
And you said it perfectly, or as you heard him say, bite or fight or whatever it was. He just is trying to get that to sit down. If you get it up too high, this thing can easily just push past the basket to the left.
Adam throwing to forehand, playing against that wind.
Wow, we saw him throw OB to the right on that shot during round number 1, so there's only about an 8-foot difference from where he landed just the day before. Flirting with that right side line, and look at how low this one is out of Chandler's hand. Trying to eliminate some of that long carry at the end of the flight.
Headwind just kind of held that one up.
Few raindrops. Chandler drops that in for birdie, but we saw a few weeks ago, or for the last, I should say, 7 or 10 days, I've been keeping an eye on the weather. Absolutely no chance of rain whatsoever. And then just in the 24 hours prior to this, they say there is a chance, as McBeth is a little bit high, but it drops in. And now we're seeing some rain to go along with the clouds. I'm not sure anyone was fully prepped for that. That's a little
I don't think
but
so.
yeah, it's just, I mean, you get so little rain here in Arizona in general, so you're certainly...
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
I'm Garrett Girthy. People know me as Double G. I've been making Double G craft jerky since I was 16 years old.
I'm always a snacker, so about halfway through, I always find myself reaching for that bag of Double G jerky.
My favorite has got to be the garlic lover's dream. You just can't go wrong with garlic and beef jerky.
That middle of the round, you get into that slump. I'm going to reach for that Double G craft jerky to help me finish strong.
So most of you can't throw like Double G, but if you get his craft jerky, you can certainly eat like him. Go out and get some Double G craft jerky.
You can find Double G craft jerky at doublegjerky.com.
All right, hole 4, 250. Playing as an island hole. You can see it's just about as wide as the circle. And again, we're going to be playing into a headwind, right to left. Typically, we see players go with the spiking hyzer. We'll see if they continue to choose that route with this wind. Off the tray.
Almost skips it in.
That was inches away, Terry. Wow.
I guess that's one way to take the wind out of play, is bounce it right into the basket. Chandler's got to follow that up.
That's got to sit.
And not only do you have the skip and the wind, now we've got just a little bit of, precipitation on the ground. So that's going to make things a little bit more slick. Something they need to take into account. This looks a little bit high. It's going to need to drop quick. And it checks up. Any shot that doesn't land inside the island barricade, the wall there, goes immediately to a drop zone. Even if you hit in the island and then go out, you can still go to the drop zone.
This is a new zone from Adam. I'm assuming he still has his trusty glow zone, but that looks to be a new one.
Time to beef up a little bit in these wins. Here's Chandler from the drop zone trying to save the par, and a little misread there, a little frustration as well. AB had about the same distance in round one, and he didn't convert. Let's see if he can make the correction here. A lot more wind in play. So Chandler, who had started at 11 under, now goes to 10. And just like that, it looks like the rain's already stopped. Although we got to get it off the screen there and the lens, but it looks like the rain has stopped, which is good. Question is, does it come back?
All right, hole 5, 441, playing downhill. We've got the road on your right. Players are typically swinging a hyzer out over the road, trying to see their disc just disappear behind this tree.
We saw the road and electrical box come into play in the previous round. Here's McBeth swinging it plenty wide.
Extra wide.
And it's going to finish on that right side, but safe.
Adam going force here. Yep.
It's really the ground play you're looking for.
Yep.
Come into the hill, maybe get a little bit of a carry to the pin. What you don't want is for it to hit and then get up and roll past the pin into the OB. Here's Anthony.
That's just coming off so hot. Yeah, we really are on the backside of the storm now, and it it got pretty calm after the storm passed.
Yeah, I was thinking just about the wind right now. You don't really hear it at all.
Yeah. It's just sometimes that's how it goes, you know. You're in the middle of the pack and you play the whole round in the wind and then you see Paul McBeth in the lead card rolling through and it's glass on the lake. What a putt.
Count it. AB from circle 2. Possibly double the distance of the putt he just missed back on the previous hole. Hole 5 averaged 2.87, so just a little bit under par for the day. Amos follows up with a birdie of his own. And McBeth a little closer than I even realized. He's looking at a birdie. We might see a star frame here if he converts. I think it's fair to say they just played this hole much easier than it really does play. I mean, they obviously we're looking at a star, assuming
star frame's rare on hole 5.
Yeah, thank you. That's a much cleaner and more precise way to put it. Sigh of relief as Chandler erases the bogey from the previous hole. Heading up to hole 6, one of the shorter ones.
One of the shorter ones. Another just iconic hole, you know. You can't hit this one on the hillside, or you've got to walk the road and check to see if your disc rolled all the way down, which they typically do. Another exposed basket. If there is wind, this one is typically pretty windy.
In the last few years, we've seen a tiny tree that was right next to the pin, and I just noticed this year it's no longer there. I just have to assume it couldn't survive with disc golfers finding it just a few feet from the pin every day. That needs to just sit, and looks like it does.
Yeah, that's sad. I remember that tree.
Yeah, it didn't look like it had a lot of chance, I think, from the get-go, honestly. It was just such a small tree in a high-traffic area, and I think that was ultimately its demise.
Yeah, and it looks like it's just almost no wind right now.
How does he get it to a backspin like that?
That's a neat trick.
The one place you cannot be is to the right of the hillside, as you said, Nate. If it catches edge, is likely rolling 40 feet out of bounds. That comes in a little bit deep, chasing back the cameraman, but
it's a good checkup.
Not a bad spot to be at 40 feet. Not too much danger here.
Yeah, good looking stroke, just a little right. I love this angle right here, looking straight down the road. You can see McDowell Mountain in the background. Oh.
You had to show me up and know the local geography. I readily admitted last commentary I had no clue what that was, but here you are. That's why you're doing the work here, Nate, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, McDowell Mountain Regional Park is the mountains that we see to the north of the course. One of the nicest campgrounds. You have to book it many months in advance if you're trying to beat some of the, I think, do they call them snowbirds?
Yep. We have plenty that leave Wisconsin and usually head to places like Texas, Arizona, Florida. I think some people think I am because I'm always covering events in Arizona as we see the 3 birdies and the par for Chandler. Pretty much what you would expect on hole 6, at least 3 out of the 4 taking birdies. Let's take a look at the shorty, hole 7.
Yeah, 210. It is the shortest hole on the course. Typically, we'll see the straight, low putter shot. This tree on the right is just hanging lower and lower every year, and you can see just how small this green really is. Takes a lot of touch to park this one.
A lot of people asking. I believe that's the new Tour Series Luna for McBeth. I think he just picked that out of a box actually a couple days ago here during the first few days of the event. And what an interesting play here. Hamas going with the forehand. What do you make of this?
I actually haven't seen the low forehand play, but he's got plenty of touch with that zone. That's a good shot. Oh, that needs to go.
Wow, and it checks up on the green.
Slow down. Man.
And from the tee, you don't know unless there's a spotter there. You have no idea just how fast that's coming in or what, basically what speed that went out of bounds with. So Chandler, next time he comes out, I'll have to make a slight correction. Here's Hamas.
Oh. Nice putt. He's stuck with that same routine.
Yeah, there's almost that little pause, that hitch before he comes in and throws. Some people, think that you might be losing momentum or it just, looks a little strange to fully pause in the middle of your putt. But we've seen how deadly he can be, not just from circle one, but even from long range, more so from long range even.
Definitely one of the best in the world.
Chandler will still walk away with the par, which is exactly what McBeth did here in round one. And he gets its revenge. Attaboy, you got the shortest hole in the tournament, Paulie. We're proud of you.
I mean, I still can't believe he shot 16 with 2 inside the circle misses, Terry.
Yeah, and I don't need Hannah and the fan club yelling at me. I'm just giving him a hard time. The irony of him missing literally the shortest hole in the tournament en route to an incredible round. I mean, it's just crazy.
There's not too many opportunities we get to pick on him, so.
That's a good call. Like, I could even birdie that one. I couldn't birdie this one, though, Nate.
Yeah, 570, par 4. Typically, we see the players go wide hyzer over the tops of the trees, and then they want to check up short of that water right there, and then pitch across another pretty small green. This one's larger than 7. You do have to have some touch coming into this green, though. Check up. Man, that is a huge shot. Pushing 500 feet on the hyzer line. Adam going force here.
There's a park bench that we've seen in previous years, and he's going to be probably out in that neighborhood. Something I want to briefly touch on. You see the gallery here. There was likely a 20 or 30-minute backup on this hole. So that's always something to take into consideration. You see them stepping up to the second par 4 of the round, and it's always after, a considerable break. So that's something to keep in mind here. Any flow or momentum you have runs right into a brick wall right here on hole number 8's tee.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Sometimes on 9 as well.
Yep.
These 2 holes back-to-back can create some significant backups. And there's the park bench that I mentioned. That and this tree, I think, are really good landmarks to say, yeah, I've thrown a really good drive, and now I just need to put it on this tiny green.
Pretty stout left to right here. Perfectly thrown shot from Adam with his zone.
The sun's trying to poke through, but you're also hearing the wind pick up again. So
look at that view, though. Leaving himself a tester.
AB knows it's good right out of his hands. Or hand. I don't think he was throwing with both of them. Here's McBeth. Oh, and that looks...
Oh, look at the wind just kind of grabbed that one. He's going to have 28 feet left. Oh, good stick from Chandler. He needed that one.
That's the grab you would expect to see, and a solid putt there by Fry. As you said, McBeth inside the circle for birdie.
Confident putt. Looking straight at the water. Yeah, we'll call that one 20.
Again, hole 8, giving up all of these birdies, not necessarily common to see a star frame on hole 8. And these guys are going to hang out. They know that there's a big backup on 9. So, man, somebody just needs to bring the picnic basket.
I'm so glad you kept filming here, Terry. I love that. They're just like, hey, let's chill here in the sun. Like,
and enjoy it. They head over to hole number 9. Things don't get very easy here. This is usually the toughest hole on the course.
This is one of the harder par 3s that you're ever going to see in the game. Just the tiniest little green. You can't see this basket from the tee pad. And with the left to right wind, it's just so difficult to swing the disc back in. Paul's definitely going for it. Going stable Zeus here. Oh, that tree kept it from finishing.
Beautiful shot by Hammis. I was going to cheat and look and see if this was, in fact, the hardest hole, and it certainly is. Playing at 3.84. So
Wow. Almost a full stroke over par, huh?
And we're going to see if that gets the red flag, and it does. Yeah, 3.84. The next toughest hole was hole 2 at 0.47 above par. So it plays twice as hard as the hardest hole.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Round 1, there was one birdie on this hole, and I think we covered it.
Yeah.
It was McBeth.
Really? He was the
Out of
only
all
birdie.
competitors,
Wow.
the only person to birdie this hole in round number 1. And up until this point, we haven't seen a birdie yet. So we'll see if our lead card can.
Yeah, Adam's pretty close. I think he might be just a step outside right there.
And you see it. Even layups aren't gimmies on this green. This peninsula is so small that just sometimes trying to pitch it up and walk away with the par is more difficult than you'd like. And actually, I believe we missed a pitch up there by Hammis a moment ago.
So, no spoilers, no birdies, Terry?
That is correct. This is the last group to come through for the MPO. So 0 birdies on hole number 9. And guys, we're going to call it. That's the front 9. Like, share, subscribe, put something in the comments. We thank all of our supporters and sponsors. Nate, thanks for joining. And hopefully we'll be back. We're going to be right here for the conclusion of the 2022 Memorial Championship Round 2 at Fountain Hills. We'll see you in a moment.